There's a pretty one, Ulysses. There it is.
Hello BookTube, I'm Shawn the Book Maniac. Welcome back to my channel. Here I am with a review of this novel, Rules for Visiting by Jessica Frances Kane. Note the spelling of Frances and Kane if you're planning to Google it. This is a 2019 novel, originally published in America. This is the UK edition. I got waylaid about where the author was from, both because it was Eric Carl Anderson who first hauled it, and this was a UK edition. But no, she is a New York City-based writer. This novel is not set in New York City, it's set in some small city. If we ever find out which state, I missed that, so I don't think it matters, but maybe other readers will. In a word, this is a really good novel about friendship. May Attaway is 40, she's never been married. In many ways, she was a throwback to a typical Barbara Pym protagonist, never married, set in her ways, a little bit prickly, and really, really funny. There's a lot of humor in this novel, but she is at a crossroads in her life. She's married to her job as a landscape gardener on a university campus. She's not close with her co-workers. She's not particularly close, although it's a benign relationship with her father, who lives in the basement of the house that she grew up in. And she's estranged from her brother. And she kind of thinks to herself, well, I'm not a mother and I'm not a wife. Am I a good friend? And she thinks about the 3 old friends that she has and wonders, do they consider me a close friend? And that both animates the novel and provides the structure. In that, May Attaway goes on a journey of discovery to reconnect and find out if there's any there. It's almost like a self-improvement quest. I would say that the main flaw in this novel, that it's too self-consciously a friendship-themed novel. But I can't make too harsh of a criticism because I was thoroughly engrossed in all of the observations, experiences, and citations from other sources about the topic of friendship. I'm not going to do an autobiographical review, but I think I am one amongst many of us who could always improve my friendship skills, and I was made to think of my friends, my friendships, and my friendship skills a lot as I read it. It didn't really feel like a satisfyingly literary piece of fiction as much as it did a memoir or a book-length essay. I didn't feel the characters were as developed, as well drawn as they could have been, but what was there was so interesting to me personally that I kept turning the pages, and by the end I was extremely moved, so it did move me. As May Attaway begins this odyssey of reconnecting, none of her old friends live in the same town or city that she lives in. They're a ways away, so it involves going to visit them and staying with them, and she wants to stay at least 4 days. But really, she starts to think that a good friend is somebody that you would spend at least a fortnight with, and that ends up becoming a hashtag fortnight friend that goes viral in the novel, and it is a little bit on Twitter in real life. As May Attaway prepares to embark upon this odyssey of reconnecting with her 3 old friends, one of the things that she's thinking about is she only really keeps in touch with them via social media, liking their posts, commenting on their posts. And she's wondering, is friend only a verb? A very superficial act of liking and commenting? What about something deeper? This story doesn't end up becoming a harsh critique of social media, but one of the things that as a 40-year-old May is grappling with is, how does social media fit into what kind of a friend I am? And I found that really provocative. I'm not nearly as old as May. I'm years away from 40, but it really made me think about that kind of stuff. Another really big part of this story is trees. Because she's a gardener, she's really alive to flowers and trees, and interleaved, did you see what I did there? Between many of the chapters are beautiful descriptions of trees and their personalities that resonate with a lot of the stuff that she's exploring interpersonally. So if you're a tree hugger or a tree lover, there's a lot here for you. I was intrigued by that. I wasn't quite sure, other than that trees are rooted, and May is very much rooted. She's living in the same house she grew up in, and she's very much of a certain place, but yet her relationship with her own home and family is quite problematic, and you do find out more about that, and I'm certainly not going to tell you. But there's a sense of the trees being rooted, but also reaching out. I'm not sure. I didn't quite know what to make of it, but I enjoyed it very much. Other readers that are more sensitive to nature and stuff would get more out of it. I really liked it, didn't understand it. Trees, big deal here. So let me close with one of my favorite passages. May Attaway, in a way, seems of a generation or two earlier than the present generation. Even as a 40-year-old, she seems, like I say, more like she comes from the Pimian era. One of the reasons I say that is because she is very much attached to, and she puts a lot of credence in and consults etiquette manuals. Emily Post, I believe. And so threaded through the narrative are posts about being a guest in someone's home and what the etiquette is on the side of the host and on the side of the guest. That made me think of a lot of things in my life that I'm too embarrassed to share with you. But that was also a delightful aspect of the novel. And so I'm going to close with an excerpt, one of my favorite passages in the novel. And Britta Bowler won't mind me telling you that I shared this excerpt with her on Voxer, and that made her read the book. And I was almost finished, and she got the ebook and finished it before I did the next day. This happens in the story after May returns from the first of her 4-night visits to the first of her 3 friends. That friend's name is Lindy. And after she gets home, as Emily Post would stipulate, she sent her in the mail, not email, not through Facebook, she sent Lindy a thank you card. When I wrote to Lindy, I used my best stationery, creamy white, by which I mean if a tree is going to be made into paper, the paper should be high quality. I also sent her a pot of butter yellow daffodils. Cut flowers make me sad, so I send potted ones if I can. This way, Lindy's landscaper will have the bulbs to plant in her garden when the flowers finish. Certainly, thank you notes don't require thank you notes. That would be a never-ending hell. So it was odd to see a reply of sorts a few days later on Lindy's Facebook page. A photograph showed my card propped against the potted daffodils. The vase of juniper and birch was gone. Feeling blessed, just spent a long weekend with one of my oldest friends. Best tonic in the world. It's true, tonic can mean refreshing, but it also means bracing. It seemed to me it had been both. Part of the trouble with friendship in the age of documentation is that Lindy knew I would see her update. So it was a communication to me, but it was also a communication to the rest of her friends on Facebook. In a few words, she had summarized and packaged our visit for broader consumption. Nothing wrong with that these days, but I don't always understand the rules. What would it mean if I didn't comment, or post my own picture and reflection? In just 1 minute, scrolling through the rest of my feed, I found myself wondering, is my dining room that pretty? Do I miss my cat that much when I'm away? Am I cool enough to dance to 80s music and bake banana bread at the same time? I liked Lindy's post and left it at that. Only connect, after all. So if that writing style and that kind of, like I say, humorous, essayistic, expository way of telling a story appeals to you, I heartily recommend Rules for Visiting. Thanks for watching.